So great you're here, bro.
Yes, well, we need to meet young men where they are if we plan to usher them into the fold of our Lord.
Totes my goats. So listen, I've got some ideas about how to take this whole church thing to the next level.
Oh, yeah?
So you know how communion wafers taste like dried shit? What if they were Nilla wafers instead, huh? Oh, yeah, and if you could throw in a commandment about how it's not cool to try and bone another bro's girl.
We have that. That already exists.
Great minds then, eh?
I was having a conversation with Eric in season 4, and we were discussing possibilities, and he was like, yeah, maybe Noir just runs off and goes back to the circus. Or maybe he dies. Something like that. I was hoping for the latter. What I thought would have been really fun is if, the whole battle, for the fate of the world with the 7 and the boys took place, and a bunch of people die, and there's just mayhem, barely anybody's left. And then, New Noir just, walks into, the wreckage. Maybe it's in the 7 Tower. He's kind of like Will Smith when everyone moved out of the Bel Air house, and he's just like, I guess I gotta turn this light off. I thought that would be funny, but that's not what happened. I found out about probably a little bit before we started filming episode 6. Everyone knew that we were probably not making it out of this season alive, so it wasn't a surprise, but I didn't know when it was gonna be. So I got a call that said, hold for Eric. I'm like, oh, it's the call. He's like, yeah, man, thank you. And it's time. And I said, thank you. This has been the ride of my life, and the way he's going out is very, very fitting for the journey he's been on.
It is. I was going to say, how do you feel about having the unique experience, at least in this show so far, of being a character that has not only had the honor to die once, but has had the honor to die twice?
That's crazy, isn't it?
Isn't it?
2 deaths.
2 times.
That might be a record for the show. It is interesting. At first, in going in, I was like, well, I can't die twice. Didn't save me. But it's cool, You have these 2 characters with 2 very different arcs who meet the same end. But they're connected, they're tied in a way, The original Noir wanted to be an actor, and that was his ambition. And he was thwarted, and his ambition was pushed down and threatened and suppressed by Soulja Boy. And ultimately, Soulja Boy damaged him so deeply, it prevented him from ever pursuing his dream. Mm-hmm. And then come to find that his replacement is an actor. So someone who wanted to be an actor is being played by an actor. And that actor has their own ambitions and dreams. And it's crushed by his partner, the Deep. So there seems to be a theme of thwarted ambition in the suit. I found it really fitting because I think Deep and Noir are like 2 brothers. It's like, you're kids and one of you steals the other's toy. So you steal another toy back. And one of you punches the other. So the other one punches you back. Before you know it, you're wrestling, and then things go too far and someone's hurt and they're like, don't tell mom. But unfortunately, in this case, you can't come back from a knife in the throat.
No.
You can't.
No.
But I think it's fitting, and I think it's a great kind of metaphor or cautionary tale about how things can get out of hand, in the moment. And very apropos for those 2. Ooh, no, there weren't, but it would have been very fun if there were. At first, I didn't know how far they wanted to take it. I'm like, am I gonna put on a wig? Am I gonna be in costume? Do I have to get singing lessons? We didn't go that far. We were earlier in the rehearsal process, but it was fun. I remember watching the Bee Gees and doing some some documentary research beforehand, and great choice by the writers. Great choice. Yeah, I mean, probably not equal. I think, animals, many animals, if not all animals, are quite sentient. And I think there's an interesting, thing in that where, the deep is still the only person in that world that really sees aquatic life as valuable, Was it a fair trade? Probably not. Was he thinking about it? Probably not. He didn't know how many people he killed. He just knew he punched a hole in the pipeline. And, and that's, again, like the little brother being like, bam, there shows you. And, yeah, I think, I don't know if it was an equal trade, but it felt right. It felt like what he needed to do. And, side note, on the day we were filming the death scene, where I was talking about the pipeline, in between takes, someone came up to me and showed me their phone, and on that phone was a news report of a pipeline that had burst.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, okay. What are we doing? What are we tapped into? Not even that we'd, because pipelines burst here, but that we'd written something, and on the day we were talking, or the day we were doing the scene and talking about it, it happened in the world.
It seems to be kind of like a tradition at this point with The Boys, because
Yep.
anytime an episode's released, it's like within that week there's some kind of headline that automatically reflects something that happened in the episode.
Just
Like the
tap
whole
in-
Jesus picture versus, Madeline, the angel.
Not on my bingo card.
No.
That was like one thing I was like, oh wow, well that's clearly gonna be fictitious, But yeah, we're tapped into the ether in some way. Noir 1 is definitely stronger. Noir 1 would wipe the floor with Noir 2. Yeah. Noir 2 would, even if Noir 2 tried to, fly Noir 1 up, Noir 1 would just, stab him, and then they'd fall to the ground, and Noir 1 would get up. Oh, definitely flew to the pipeline. He did not take the train. Yeah, I would have loved to fly. The logistics of flying, or being in the kind of get up to fly, is not comfortable.
No.
So, not upset about that part, but it would have been cool to do more flying. But yeah, who knows? Maybe there are more adventures, more chronicles of noir somewhere down the line. I hope. Yeah.
That's one thing about this show is even though people can be dead, they're not really always gone.
Heroes
like I
never
said,
truly vanish.
You could
to
be
quote
recast as a
Starlight.
third.
I think that might be pushing it a little bit. I got to. I don't know.
It was how many lassies have there been?
Yeah, you're right. I kind of wanted to make it to the end, but I get it. It's for the way Eric had to set up those chess pieces, in terms of who dies when for maximum impact. I think he made the right decision in the sense of you gotta to give everything the right time to breathe. You need to space things out. So I made it to 6. Pretty happy about making it to 6. I was born on the December 6th. That's what I'm gonna. I hope that's the only connection it ever has to my real life. But yeah, I would have been nice to go further, but hey,
Can't all make it to the
you
end.
can't all make it to the finale.
I know.
Yeah, I love that. I loved it. It was cool doing it in a Toronto theater that I've been in before. I think my favorite scenes were the mask off scenes. But also even the stuff in 5 with Deep and Oh Father, that was great too. Just the whole arc of just really hearing that I'm gonna make it and be a star, and then all of it's taken from me. But yeah, anytime I got to act without my mask, I very much enjoyed it. I feel like I was living under a rock, kind of in regards to all of that. Like when I found out that that's what we were going to be tackling, I'm like, oh, okay, like I guess this is kind of a thing. But like I didn't know how prevalent it was. Like you hear about it, but it's not something that I was ever, plugged into or very aware of. So there are these people projecting this image and this bravado and what have you, and you're seeing these personas, you're seeing these personalities, but just because you see that doesn't mean that that's what's going on inside. And like if you look at the Deep, he's a very broken person. There's a lot of emptiness in there. I think it was episode 4, you see Starlight's brother just absorbing all of that stuff. Like the Deep is the man, but anybody on the 7, you ask their opinion of the Deep, not very high.
Not the man.
And so I think there's a bunch of kind of commentaries within commentaries on that. And yeah, I think I think it was a relevant thing to touch on. The goggles fog up. So like sometimes you can't really see people. We were like acting and you're like, I don't know what you're doing. And then you gotta like wipe them off or like take off your thing. And the easiest was just being with my friends all the time. Mm-hmm. Just like whether we're doing scenes or we're out, on the weekends, and just spending time with friends who became family. How I felt, I was like, we did it. I felt good.
It felt good?
Yeah.